4 minutes and 20 seconds. That is the exact amount of time it took for Iran's newest hypersonic missile to travel from a launch site outside Tehran to a military target in central Israel. Not 10 minutes, not 15 minutes. 4 minutes and 20 seconds from ignition to impact, from the moment the rocket motor ignites to the moment the explosion levels its target. This is the detail that makes every Israeli civil defense planner and military strategist want to resign immediately. Israel's missile alert system, considered one of the most sophisticated on the planet, requires a minimum of 6 minutes to complete its full warning cycle. This cycle is not just a single alarm. It is a complex sequence of events. It starts with detecting the launch through infrared satellite sensors, then calculating the trajectory, then determining the exact impact zone, and finally transmitting alerts to cellular networks and sounding the sirens. 6 minutes. But the Fattah-2 arrives in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. This means the missile hits its target nearly 1 minute and 40 seconds before the warning system can even finish telling people to take cover. The Fattah-2 is what Iran is calling a hypersonic glide vehicle, boasting a range of over 1,400 kilometers and a speed that Israeli radar operators initially refused to believe. Mach 15. That is 15 times the speed of sound, or roughly 11,500 miles per hour. At 3.1 miles per second, the math is brutal. The distance from Tehran to Tel Aviv is 990 miles. Do the math at that speed, and you arrive at 4 minutes and 20 seconds. This speed creates a total collapse of the time buffer that modern security is built upon. For decades, the safety of millions has depended on having a few extra minutes to react. The Fattah-2 removes that luxury. It creates a 0-hour scenario where the arrival of the threat is faster than the information about the threat. By the time the siren begins to wail, the building has already collapsed. This isn't just a military problem. It is a fundamental shift in the reality of warfare. We are now entering an era where detection is useless if the response cannot happen at the speed of light. The Fattah-2 isn't just a weapon. It is a timer that is run out before the race even began. To understand why the Fattah-2 is a technological checkmate, you have to understand how current missile defense systems actually work when they are successful. When a normal ballistic missile is fired, it follows a predictable ballistic arc, much like a ball being thrown into the air. Radar systems detect this arc early, and computers calculate exactly where that missile will be in 30 or 60 seconds. An interceptor is launched toward that predicted point, and they collide midair. This works perfectly when the target stays on its path. It does not work when the target changes its mind mid-flight. The Fattah-2 does not fly in a ballistic arc. After its initial boost phase, it enters a glide phase where it stays within the atmosphere and uses small control surfaces to adjust its trajectory continuously. These are not massive course corrections, but small, unpredictable shifts. 5 degrees left, 3 degrees down. At Mach 15, being wrong by just 3 degrees means the interceptor misses the target by several miles. Israel's Arrow 3 system is designed to engage threats high in the exosphere, above 100 kilometers. The Fattah-2 glides at altitudes below 50 kilometers, staying in a dead zone where Arrow 3 cannot effectively maneuver. David's Sling is meant for lower altitudes, but its interceptors are optimized for targets moving at Mach 5 to Mach 8. The Fattah-2 is moving at nearly double that speed. The closing speed is so high that the intercept geometry simply fails. And then there's the Iron Dome, the most famous defense system in the world. The Iron Dome is designed for short-range rockets and drones. It is not even in the same category as a Mach 15 hypersonic vehicle. The result is a missile that no current Israeli or Western defense system can reliably stop. Not because the technology is poor, but because the threat moves faster and maneuvers more aggressively than the systems were ever built to handle. We are looking at a technology gap that may take a decade to close while the threat is active today. Israel's Homefront Command operates a civilian alert system that is admired globally for its efficiency. The system is designed to give the population just enough time to reach safety. For rockets from Gaza, the warning is 15 to 90 seconds. For missiles from Lebanon, it is 1 to 5 minutes. For traditional missiles from Iran, the window was 10 to 15 minutes. Every citizen knows exactly how many seconds they have to run based on where they live. This creates a sense of manageable risk. As long as you follow the protocol, you have a high chance of survival. The Fattah-2 destroys this entire psychological framework. The alert gap created by hypersonic speed means that notification happens after the impact. If a person in Tel Aviv hears a siren, they usually need at least 90 seconds to reach a shelter. But if the missile hits 20 seconds after the siren starts, those people are caught in the open. They are moving toward a shelter that they will never reach. This makes the alert system useless. Notification after impact doesn't save lives. It only serves as a confirmation of an attack that has already claimed its victims. When the population realizes that the sirens no longer offer a window of safety, the trust in civil defense vanishes. This psychological impact is more destabilizing than the physical damage of the missile itself. A society can endure a lot of pressure if there is a plan for safety. But when death can arrive in 4 minutes with zero warning, the calculus of living in a high target area changes completely. You cannot send children to school or go to work with a sense of security when you know the defense shield is broken. The Fattah-2 forces a reality where every second is a gamble, and the house, the hypersonic missile, always wins. This is the death of the civilian safety net as we know it. The 4-minute flight time doesn't just put civilians at risk, it fundamentally breaks the military's response cycle. Israeli military doctrine for the last several decades has been based on the concept of deterrence through immediate retaliation. The idea is that if Iran launches a strike, Israeli intelligence and radar will detect it early enough to get retaliatory aircraft in the air and missiles targeted before the Iranian strike even lands. This simultaneous war ensures that the attacker suffers just as much, if not more, than the defender. But 4 minutes eliminates the ability to react before impact. By the time a commander receives the data, verifies it isn't a false alarm, and gets authorization from the political leadership, the Fattah-2 has already detonated. The retaliation happens after the damage is done, not while the attack is in progress. This shifts the power back to the attacker. Iran no longer has to fear an immediate response that arrives before their own mission is complete. They can launch, assess the damage, and then prepare for the retaliation on their own terms. This changes the entire deterrence calculation in the Middle East, making an initial strike much more attractive and less risky for an adversary. Furthermore, this compression of time increases the risk of a catastrophic miscalculation. When you only have 4 minutes to decide if an incoming Mach 15 object is carrying a conventional warhead or a nuclear one, there's no time for cool heads to prevail. There is no time for diplomatic phone calls or high-level analysis. Commanders are forced into a use-it-or-lose-it mindset. This forced urgency could lead to an escalation to weapons of mass destruction simply because there wasn't enough time to verify the level of the threat. The Fattah-2 doesn't just hit a military base. It hits the very foundation of strategic stability that has prevented total war for decades. The 4-minute world is a world on the edge of a hair trigger.